takes, Moses. All you have to do is just shoot the mans and get circled.
Absolutely. Well, let's see if they can have that circle luck here on Miramar. It's match number 35 already. It feels like this phase has been flying by, and the plane is heading basically up the middle. And now we'll see if teams like Vanquish can get up towards Campo Militar. There's going to be some stress around that northeastern side of the zone.
Really, it's going to be difficult for the teams that are going to make that push up there like you were talking about, but most of our teams should be in a pretty decent spot. We have not seen a whole bunch of northern push. It's just a little bit more of those outliers. I say that, but that's where Loki and we saw Vanquish, that's where they tend to hang out, and they had a good last game on them. So you can see the drops have now come out. Everybody's separating out. Nothing too crazy coming inside of this game so far. It looks like everybody's going to be able to get a little bit of breathing room. Lazarus is going to have Zenith intermixed with him, but that's kind of a common thing that we've seen so far. But United, I mean, 35 points, it's more just based off of the buffer that they came into this week, because they had a pretty hefty lead over a lot of these teams that has now been usurped.
And yeah, United, I think it's not a bad thing for them to be in the position they're in. This is a team that is still essentially new. And to have the success they had, obviously the pressure that comes along with it, but to be where they are now, having, started the first couple of NPL phases really on the bottom side of the leaderboard, now being in a top 5 position, it's not really fair to say like, oh man, they're falling off, because this is a team with a rookie, a brand new player, and 2 players that are, aside from Taylor J, still kind of getting used to each other.
This is the United we've been wanting for so long.
Yes.
Sure, we would prefer for them to stay up towards the top.
3 roster changes later.
Yeah, okay, that's all it took. It's fine. They finally got there where we wanted them to be at.
Yep.
Speaking of that, Lazarus is a team I really have to say I'm hoping that can get the points to represent North America. The way that these guys are playing right now feels so good.
And I had a chance, I often stand up there and chat with them, just talking with Gunnar, talking about how they approach strategy. It was intentional in the last game for them to be waiting for Rumblers.
Yes.
And Rumblers,
Love it.
To their, I don't know if it's discredit or credit, did come the exact same way. And now Purdy and the rest of the Lazarus squad was laying in wait. They pick up all those points, not for free, but they did get them all 4 without losing anybody. And that sets them up to pick up very good points on Sanhok, where the median points per game is like 7 or 8 if you want to be on the high side.
And that's what I love about Lazarus. They're starting to capitalize off of the predictability of some of these teams. If you can really start to get in the head of how these teams are going to rotate around, that's free points on the board for you. So the more you lean into this outside game knowledge, getting these timings down, trying to make sure that you're running against the clock to get in the spots where you can get the kills, it's just the way we've always seen that team play, and now they're taking it to that next level, and I love it.
And that's the difference, not necessarily in coaching. Obviously, Lazarus had Dids in the last phase for their coach, so Lazarus has always had a coach present, but it's just the little differences in play style, advice, outside looking in, whatever it is, coaches do bring something to the table in this league.
I mean, we talk about coaches. We've got one of the best that's considered inside of North America on Tempo Storm's roster.
Maluk?
Coaches?
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about leaders.
Oh, okay. Now this is a dangerous topic. We're going to leave that one alone there. But
that one's just for you, Micro.
I know. Well, also Hypoc. Hypoc's up there just super tilted, like, oh, I'm coming after you on that one. But Tempo Storm back to form, back at the top of the leaderboard. Lazarus just tailing back behind them right now. But the question comes into play. Are we seeing the final form of Tempo Storm, or can they take it to that next level?
Well, absolutely. I think that Maluk, obviously a driving force in the in-game comms, but you do need to have someone looking at the overall strategy, looking where you can tighten things up. Obviously, Microstar, he's a 2-time NPL champion coach, so I mean, there's obviously a lot of pedigree coming there as well. But when you are advising your team or looking at a team from a strategy standpoint, some things that can get missed are around the personality, making sure the team is feeling good. And I think for Genesis, Logic has been doing mostly management of keeping everybody together, making sure things are positive. And the game strategy has to come to match it, but that's ultimately up to the players themselves to execute.
It's easy to be a coach when everybody's winning. The real struggles come out when it's not going in your favor anymore. And now everybody's starting to get a little bit mad at each other, a little bit mad at the strategies. Everybody starts double thinking everything. Trying to keep everybody on plan is very difficult. But Envy seems to have their own executed plan in the way that they handled these early games. And I really like to see it. It's a fulmination. It feels like some of these teams we're starting to see the evolution across the phases with. So Envy's kind of move out, try to get these trap positions, get these kills, and now starting to pay off more and more for them.
How do I get out of this damn building? I
What
got
happens
it
when
in
you
here.
turn it sideways. It's okay. We believe Pride. You can make that turn over there. See, he's fine.
It's like
no, and then he opts away from it. Pride, and then closes the door. Okay, that's it. I'm done with that one.
It's like a tunnel spider, just making his little nest in there, waiting for someone to come. But yeah, Pride has found themselves envy a center position on the southern side of the zone, and there's actually some fighting breaking out already as Nerf is just going to unleash with the SKS. That's E United they've been shooting at. Rumbler's not too far away, and we can hear the deflating of tires as Nerf cries out in anger.
There are a ton of teams around this location. We've got Rumblers, Endemic, Sonics, Genesis, E United, just back down to the south of that. We also have Riot Squad looking like that's going to be the place that they post up as well. So a lot of congestion just back down to the southwest of Picado.
Interesting to note, Matt, Genesis starts in Picado, which is bullseye dead center of the map right now, and they have decided to come south, probably a stronger hold. It's difficult for Picado. A lot of people like to leak in, especially as a center point on the map. So Genesis smartly leaving Picado early, even though it is the center of the zone right now.
Tempo Storm has a pretty free path into the circle themselves. A couple of shots are going to come out their way, depending on how the rotations come through, but you can see Vanquish in a little bit of trouble as Space Station Gaming is keeping an eye on them.
Hopefully for Genesis, the zone doesn't end on Picado. That would feel bad.
It seems like it happens to them a lot.
It happens sometimes,
yeah.
you know.
And you always kind of like kick yourself whenever that occurs. There's nothing worse than moving to a position and going, hey, I think this place might be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Then you make the shift over there, and the other spot ends up being where the game ends at. Oh my God,
you
that's like
can't you
tilting.
can't second guess yourself in that situation though. You make a call, you stick with it, you run with the variable you've chosen.
You can't. I do it all the time.
Well,
when I
absolutely.
play.
Well, that's the thing in
I get so
PUBG
mad
is
at
that
it.
it's so mental that if you're constantly second guessing and getting down on yourself for mistakes, you'll spiral. And I think that's kind of where Genesis as a team is coming into a bit of trouble, is that they're really focusing on what they're not doing well or that they're not playing well. And sometimes they lose sight of the fact that this is a team that's been in the top 3 in back-to-back phases.
Well, on the opposite side of that, I feel like we're seeing more and more life coming out from Space Station Gaming. We just saw Baja there for a second. That beautiful grenade where he got the double kill as he himself was dying. We're starting to see more, I guess, moves coming out from Space Station Gaming, and that's what I want to see from that team. That's a roster that's been around for so long. They know how to play this game. They know how to execute at the highest level. I just don't know what the X factor that is stopping them is.
Well, they're pretty far into the relegation window now, Matt. That's this is a team that, even though we've seen signs of life, the body of work kind of speaks for itself, and Space Station Gaming has no business being down to the and shout out to these guys. They're all on the stage as well, but they're not in the low-key Zenith and Vanquish business. They're in Space Station Gaming. They just came off a GLL Grand Slam. They've been in contention in the previous phases, and this is a team that I think, talking about coaching, desperately needs one.
I just can't. I want them to do so much better. But we can see that NV taking some long-range shots at Tempo Storm as they're making a rotation through. Going to cut back over next to Ghost as well. So Tempo Storm just carving out more and more of that centerpiece of the circle, finding themselves a nice little path that they can maneuver through. Maluk is getting really good at handling these side shots that are coming his way and finding those paths back over. And I know we all like to pick on his survivability and what happens inside of it and his survival numbers, but whenever you're holding this role, it's a very difficult job to try to pull off.
Oh, and that's the difference among IGLs, and that's kind of how I look at the rankings. Obviously, Maluk, an extremely strong leader in game, very vocal, and that takes a lot of the ability out of the mechanics. So, if you look at a player like Wooly on Sonics, another extremely vocal player who doesn't bring the mechanics along with it because it's so difficult. There's so many variables to contend with. And that's why for Space Station Gaming, going back to them, Valiate, a terrifically talented mechanical IGL that, maybe sometimes doesn't respect the IGL role. And this is just guessing, obviously, as a caster, but if you're focusing on, I'm going to go make a play, can you properly lead your team?
Well, new circle has popped. Almost everybody's inside of it. Lazarus is going to be on the tail end of this, chasing it down. Player 1 Esports, Tempo Storm's got to get 2 more members in, but other than that, almost everybody's in a pretty decent spot. The problem with it is 64 people still alive. It's been very, very quiet as it looks like Tempo Storm and Ghost are thinking about making that push over to Picado.
And this is where the crunch comes in. So this is a well-timed move from Genesis early in the game. They don't have to move too far. They just kind of condense and wait. Ghost is going to crash into Picado, or at least try and get through it. Tempo Storm is going to be hot on their heels. I don't think either team is going to want to commit to this unless Ghost tries to get some opening shots. It is going to be Shrimzy taking a couple of shots at Sharky, who's had a terrific weekend and really has shown some of the flair we've seen from him as a top fragger in this league.
I like this coming out from Ghost. On a regular basis, we see them play on the outside of Picado, right along those hills, and it never works. They always make a rotation about circle 5, and then they get killed by the people that are holding down these positions. They are moving early, and they got there just that second ahead of Tempo Storm to really push them off and force them into a different location.
And that's something, a change that was much needed from Ghost. You said it was frustrating to watch them try and enter into Picado super late, get hilled out and get killed, but that's an adjustment I think they've made some time ago. So pressuring more center position for Ghost has been
last week.
What's that?
I think it happened last week.
Well, sometimes it's going to happen from time to time. If you get stopped in rotation or you have to commit to a fight, but generally Ghost as a team has been more center pressure, and I think that's really been helping them, as even though they're not playing to the level we expected, they have been slowly moving up the leaderboards.
So we do have Lazarus that's holding down a nice high ground position. You can see them looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. Ghost playing back down towards the south of Picado. Up towards the north of it's going to be Tempo Storm holding down a different angle. Everybody's starting to center around this location, and we're starting to see this circle more and more inside the NPL. It feels like we used to be back down towards that southwestern area of the map, but this area is starting to see more and more action throughout this phase. Now, how much are these teams learning? Look at the separation that's coming out from Envy. They've got that 3-1 split off to one piece. Space Station Gaming just now managing to make it inside the safe zone. Everything's carved out. Everybody's got their little corner. But what do they do next?
I expect for Envy, if they determine that it's a 2-2 split for E United, I'm not sure the vision between Taylor J and Stab and Balefrost and Sharu, but Envy might want to take the fight to one of the compounds held by E United. And you can kind of see the sight lines. They can see each other, but if they crash on the close side, Envy might be able to maybe dislodge E United.
One thing to note is there are a ton of very cruel in-game circles that we still have as a potential option where we're going to end at. Everything's been pretty quiet so far as everybody's been able to find different locations. Zenith's finally making a push back down right up into Sonic space. Kendo does get away with that. Nice crash coming through. Tries to go for the jump shot. Not going to get a lot out, but that does allow Patron to make his push on the side of this as well. So Zenith does manage to make landfall right up next to Sonic as Keenan is trying to defend it.
Keenan needs support ASAP. Tiggleton needs to come over. Someone needs to come over and help. Here comes Wooly, the rest of the squad. Support has arrived, and this is a nice biding of time by Keenan. Zenith has not gotten any frags or any opening shots yet. Nice bank grenade through the doorway. Can't find any downs, and the nades will come in turn, and this is going to be a full-on commit. Very close quarters here.
This is a very tight fight. Everybody's just trying to get whatever grenade angles they can. Shots are going to come out actually from Tempo Storm that get the down onto Walt Jr. You can see Keenan starting to be a little bit more aggressive with it. Keenan does get the down onto Kendo. That's 2 members down from Zenith. Finally, it's going to be some returns coming through, so it's going to be 2-2 now.
And now this is a flank coming in from Patron. Wide up close. Really well played, but honestly, Tiggleton will get the upper hand. Another spray. Nice. Tiggleton will save it. 2 res is coming. A clutch play from the Australian.
At the very end there, Tiggleton shows up when it matters most. Keenan, Tony V, going to be able to be rezzed. They're still towards the circle. New circle has popped. They are inside that safe zone, but it looks like a couple of different people might want to party around that location as Tempo Storm was being aggressive on it, but Ghost Gaming taking some shots and going to get the down onto Zampa.
This was Sonic's trying now to defend against Tempo, who did get a down onto Walt, and seeing that fight finish, have now pressed up to try and fight a weakened Sonic's team.
2 reses have come through. Sonics are already abandoning
They had
Tony
to leave
V.
Tony, yeah.
And so he's now down and out. He's as good as dead. Tempo Storm don't know that, so they're still fishing with dynamite right now, seeing if they can get anything out of it. So Tempo Storm holding down this location, got themselves a nice control point to play from. Sonics now on foot. They do have the hills that they can maneuver through, so not the worst position to play from.
You know, it was pretty funny to watch Sonics and Zenith just throw grenades at each other's feet through that doorway. It was like a really up close, high stakes, close quarters snowball fight.
I was gonna say it almost felt like Pong, the way they were bouncing it off of walls back and forth with each other. That's what I want.
That's how powerful grenades are.
I just want the pan to come out and somebody just like swing it back and hit a grenade back to him. Is that too much to ask for?
Maybe. I mean, the pan is very important. So
the pan does everything else, and the pan is probably the most controversial with all of these players. Well, some of the players.
Yeah, pair them up with grenades, and I'm sure we could get one of these guys to have an aneurysm.
Yep, that's the way we're gonna do it. Lazarus still on the outside of the safe zone, looking back over towards Envy. Looks like they want their complex. Remember, Envy is still running that 3-1 split with Moody off to the side. There's a little bit of separation coming out from the other Envy players as well. Pat Cap's holding down a different angle. Looks like Lazarus not feeling too comfortable with that. Gonna go ahead and hop in the vehicles, make a longer rotation out and away.
Genesis now feeling like they've made the right moves. All 4 center zone. Lazarus trying to, again, rotate. They've kind of bounced off Envy. They're gonna go all the way south, very wide, and they need to do it quickly as this zone isn't chunking just yet, but once the zone is done moving, it will definitely be doing lots of damage. So for Lazarus, still 4 up, just trying to traverse, and they will find some reprieve on the southern side with only the lone rumbler of Los HD down there.
There is so much stress onto Lazarus right now. Sure, they're in that second place position. We want to see them have some good games, but Tempo Storm is starting to run away with it. There's starting to be a pretty big lead in between Tempo Storm and Lazarus knows if they want any chance at the first place position, they have got to start stacking up some really good games back to back.
Well, with a new player too, I mean, if you look at the the example we made with Genesis, I think Lazarus fits into that as well. They've made some changes, both coaching and a new player, and being in second place, even though they obviously want to win, has got to be feeling good for a team that did struggle.
Well, we talk a lot of times about like, oh, there's got to be this adaptation period with new players and coach and everything else like that. Lazarus just feels like they kind of hit the ground running. They had a little bit of a weak start, but they have gelled real fast into a very strong unit, in my opinion.
Let's see what they do now, Matt, as they have to come north.
They just can't find the circle.
Yeah, well, the circle did shift again on a Genesis, so they got to be feeling good. This is a game they want to capitalize on. It looks like Wildcard has made their move. Vanquish trying to catch people out in rotation. They have Wildcard arriving on their doorstep pretty soon. Not to mention, Wildcard does take Pistola time down. Penta hits.
That's a bad spot to be at, too.
Ooh, yeah.
Riot Squad's walking up, taking some shots back over towards Loki. Z-Pax is already down. Loki separated out in that 2-2. Wildcard off in the distance did have one of the members go down by themselves, so they're going to have to get the res back over towards that, which they do get. But now Loki's got to figure out, okay, what do we do? It's only VZ that has managed to make it right up in the steps, right next to Loki. The rest of the members of Squad are back on that hillside, looking back down, trying to provide some level of support. So now you can see shots are going to come through, and it's actually going to be Nerf that buys a little bit more time and space. As VZ holding down this shack, you can see the slow approach coming out from Loki.
Yeah, Loki's in a rough spot, however. They do have Wildcard in the crossfire. Just the smokes and the vehicles protecting them for now. They are trying to dislodge VZ, but they really can't move. You can see Chubba Bubba with the vehicle on the low side, even really can't use it for cover that well.
They don't have a lot of utility. I didn't see grenades. What were we just looking at? And great shots coming out from Genesis. That's two members of Low-Key down. And VZ knows. Remember, he came up here. He got a knock earlier. He just steps up, and he's like, no, this is my time. I'm going to go for the shots on, but it does backfire. He does get one down out of it.
I'm not sure he knew there were 2 people there.
Yeah, with this, now the support's got to come through. What's Riot Squad going to do? Are they going to come save him? I think he's dead at this point.
Well, he's safe. He has some time to work with. Likely his first, maybe not his first knock. He's chunking pretty quick. So, yeah, VZ's likely as, Lada's going to come in.
Send it in there. Go after it. Lada jumps in. He's like, no, not today. I'm going to go ahead and save you, VZ. Makes it in there. Now, Pax, you're in some trouble, buddy.
And, well, Lada did take a headshot from Genesis on the way in, so he will get the med off first and go for the res. But what is it going to cost them this time around? It's going to be a 2-2 split. They do have cover set up at least.
And it gets them closer towards the center of the circle as well. So while it's an aggressive play, it does actually come up. They do lose their vehicles for it. So rotating from here is going to be pretty hard, but they still have the other 2 members that maybe can come down and pick them up.
Overall, nice plays. Nice plays, dude.
See Ghost contemplating how they're going to handle this next. There is that split that's coming out from E United. They're still stacking up in that 3-1, I believe, at the time, or is it 2-1 at this point? But they've got a couple of members off to one side of it, taking a couple of shots, but you can see separation coming out. Ghost trying to figure out, okay, what do we do next?
249 for Stab, plus the gear to go along, and now Vegas and the rest of Ghost on the edge of the zone look towards E United, as they don't have to move through them just yet, but still holding on to the 2-2 is E United. Stab and Taylor up on the hillside with Balefrost and Sharu in the compound. Genesis, strongest position in the zone. Circle getting ready to shift once again, and Player One Esports is being bullied on the edge of the zone.
So the problem that comes into play with Genesis being into this position, while it's great to get center of circle, we often see most teams don't push that direction. So it's very hard to get the kills. You really have to have just beautiful shots, good follow-ups, try to get everything you can, as again, Genesis is going to have a nice position inside the circle, as well as United and Ghost. Really, it's guys up towards the northwest. They're going to have to figure out what do they do next.
Tempo sending it on the motorcycle is Maluk. Zampa already out of his vehicle, going to park them together and try and make a little bit of a foothold as Tempo can't quite get into the zone. Sharpshot and Sharky still on the edge with the Sonics between them. And now for Tempo Storm, they're going to have United to contend with, as well as Ghost Gaming.
Oh, there's a mess that's starting to occur back down towards the south. It's Riot Squad running right into Lazarus. It's just cars everywhere. It's a mess. Rumblers are getting involved in this as well. There's third parties, vehicles flipping everywhere. This is a bloody fight, as it's going to be Lazarus that do come up with it.
Luke.
But it's still the third party off to the side coming up really big with Rumblers just destroying Lazarus.
Yeah, I was going to say if they can get into the dip and down and away, they might be able to save some of their players. That was a necessary crash. I think Civ will be rezzed by Luke. They did pick up a couple of kills. We see Sonics go down in the back line, and here's Player One Esports. Another vehicle. Pax just ate that motorcycle for breakfast, and the vehicle rolling around did take down Aguila, so that is a bit of a cluster there for Player One.
It's just too many people alive and not enough space for everyone, so it is just getting destructive on every part of the circle. Remember the fact that they had the 2 members from Riot Squad down inside that shack.
They're still alive.
Genesis taking the shots. Player One Esports trying to regroup. Riot Squad trying to deal with contenders on 2 different sides. Player One Esports taking a lot of damage off of this.
And VZ will go down again and quickly finished by Hetroar. And Drass will take down Interrogate now. This is that crunch, a lot of open space. Endemic, they haven't been doing much. They're still 4 strong edge of the zone, and they're walking into Wildcard.
Look at this. Wildcard also wants to join into this party that's over here. Lata's the last member alive for Riot Squad after just being pounced on from every single angle. Who would have thought that this push down to the shack would buy so much space? But Adam's got a grenade prepped and ready. It does bounce on the outside of the shack. Lata realizes it, like, nope, okay, I'm not going to go out there. I'm still safe. Just going to sit here. Genesis doesn't have the best firing angle back over towards Wildcard, but you know who might? It's going to be Endemic coming up back behind him.
That was such an unlucky bounce for Adam's grenade. That should have been an easy kill there for him, but bad bounce, and now Endemic is going to get picked apart. Genesis looking at them space station as well, trying to throw the smokes down, but they're just a little bit late. Wolf stuck in the edge of the zone. A lot of damage coming his way. He will go down to Baja, and now Adam is going to have an easier time. But Lata, he forgot about him just for a second. Perfect timing. 4 kills for Riot Squad.
Riot Squad is just death gripping this shack. Lata is just being such a star performer for that squad. Pistola Time has had to abandon that rock, and it is covered in flames.
Endemic goes down with 1 kill, and now it's just Pistola Time and Lata kind of looking at each other. And this Valley has been great for Riot Squad, even though they only have 1 left, and Genesis will get the zone again.
Genesis sitting very comfortable, pretty. They're kind of dictating a lot of what's going on, taking shots, getting more control. Baja has made a rotation back down there. Lata does get more and more space as he finally manages to remove Wildcard, but there's just contender after contender coming after him. Got Baja Waka right next to him as well.
He's got like a field of boxes out there he can go and pick. Obviously, he doesn't want to
ever walk outside.
He can't leave, obviously. He knows how safe he is, well, at least how secure he is, but now it's going to be Space Station's turn. They're getting close. Baja trying to thread the needle with the grenade. Can't get it from distance. It's like playing, what's the game called? With the... with the bean bags.
Cornhole. There you go.
Cornhole.
Finally does pay off. So Lata does manage to get down, and that's going to be Riot Squad getting removed. And now, Baja, you get the Shack of Destiny.
I was trying to bait you into saying cornhole, and you wouldn't take it, but I appreciate you.
I did say it finally.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we got it. Now they got a kill. Space Station Gaming moving through, and now the fight we've been waiting for is Ghost Gaming and Tempo.
Sneaking up back behind this. Look at McCoy playing on this position. Everybody's kind of caught up with Tempo Storm of what's happening in front of them. A couple of shots coming out from E United back towards Ghost is going to give away that reposition that they were going for. So lots of different positioning factors coming into play as E United is right next to Tempo Storm, as Ghost is just trying to find any hole in this that they can try to force their way through, trying to get any down off of it that they can. A lot of shots are starting to come through up on that hillside as Tempo Storm slowly having to retreat through their smokes.
Oh, what a line from Zampa. Opens up onto Shrimzy. He's going to take him down the nade follow-up, looking for multiple kills there. That's going to land close, but not close enough to do damage. Shrimzy likely already dead, but Ghost will continue to press forward. Genesis is now getting into the back line. They've got 8 kills already.
Ghost voids that. Ghost trying to figure out a path to get in this, and Tempo Storm now going aggressive, trying to take this opportunity. They know Vegas is weak. They're just pushing right back down for it. Vegas is holding the angle, waiting for it, but it's not going to matter. They're going to get dropped off on one side. Ghost is just getting torn apart from every single angle as the other 2 members of Ghost were trying to push back up, but they near up in next to United.
I think that was a nice play from Ghost. They tried to get around Tempo Storm, but Genesis is continuing to pressure. Look at K-Mind, how aggressive he's getting. He's come out of cover. He's going to make some plays. Drassel and McCoy are in trouble if Ghost gets any more kills. And here's K-Mind. You can see him in the foreground, and he's shredding Tempo Storm. Another couple of kills. Well played by K-Mind.
It's buying more space, but it's still Envy and E United back and forth across this hilltop. Hatcap's the last member for his squad still alive. Ghost only has 1 up, but trying to go for the res on both sides of this. Rumblers did manage to cross, get back down inside of that building complex off to the side of it. So a lot of very damaged squads, and Genesis that's just surveying the horizon.
Pivotal circle change here. Genesis, if they get this should be almost a must win, as the circle will change, and here it comes. It's going to go on to Genesis's compound.
Surprise.
This has got to feel real. This is a team that needs this, man. They have a ton of kills in this game. If they can secure this victory, it could turn all their fortunes around.
So Genesis has control over the circle right now, but there's a lot of teams that want to try to breach these different directions. You can see, it looks like Rumblers want to move along this hillside where we just saw Envy and Ghost getting into their skirmishes. Genesis has to hold every single angle around them right now. They have to find the sight lines to keep this, so that way nobody can push back over towards their hills. Space Station Gaming, they know that they have to make some type of path, but there's a road in between them that's wide open terrain. Easy kills to be picked up. Meanwhile, Ghost just trying to crawl back down off from one angle. They heard the fight with Envy just a second ago.
Rumblers are trying to rotate and find some kills on this very messy area of the map. Drassel and McCoy just prone and waiting at this stage, but here comes Taro and Pat Caps. This kicks off, Rumblers are going to jump.
Rumblers still making that push back over there. Drassel here's the footsteps, trying to figure out where they're going to be moving from. Really, shots do come out on the backside of this. Rumblers get the sight line first, so Ghost hears this, not opting to move at the time. Now it's just Pat trying to figure out what he's going to do. He has to leave Taro back behind on this. So Pat just playing along these hillsides as Rumblers moving back and forth through this. They have to be very cautious as multiple members could pop up onto this at any single time. Ghost is still waiting. They do spot out Pat Caps. They're going to take a couple of shots back over to it, but Drassel gets spotted by Los.
I was going to say I would love to see Ghost jump up and do something here because Rumblers going to run right over them, and that's going to be a quick down and out. Ghost and Envy going down to Rumblers, and that is going to boost the chances of Genesis, who now have eyes on Rumblers. This is a well-placed position now, and Genesis has got the compound, Matt. Even SSG is trying to get involved. Look at Luke.
Yeah, there's still one member from Lazarus alive. So with all these firefights that are happening towards the north, that's drawing a lot of attention away. So now he can slowly creep his way inside this, but Space Station Gaming does make the cross over the road, do manage to make it to the hills, and now looking back for this fight that they heard just a second ago. But there's so much smoke, so much terrain that's providing cover for Rumblers. It looks like they might have the time to regroup.
Heterar more interested in anything. Oh, that's another kill going to Nerf. So Luke has been found down to the top 3 teams. SSG, Rumblers, and Genesis. Genesis, powerful position, looking to clutch up a much-needed victory.
We often talk about how hard it is to get the kills when you're at the center of the circle. Genesis is making it look so easy. They're capitalizing on every single movement. But now all pressure is going to be coming from the north as Rumblers still trying to get their reses off. Space Station Gaming trying to find some approach point back over to where Genesis is at. Both of these teams on the outside of the building complex know Genesis is here.
Rumblers have
making
no
their
cover.
life hell.
Rumblers have no cover whatsoever. Even if they have to make a play to the warehouse. If they have any hope at all, they have to figure out a way to get momentum into the warehouse. K-Mine is there to defend, but SSG's got the other ridge covered. You can see the smokes are coming out. They have to make a play. K-Mine knows this. He's laying in wait.
These shots
he should be calling for support, honestly.
Off the top of this, everybody from Genesis, they want to make sure that nobody's creeping in. They just had to take down Luke a second ago. They have to treat this as cautiously as they can. The skirmish is happening between Rumblers and Space Station Gaming. That's just going to play into Genesis' hands.
Nerf needs to come over.
Out. Here comes the push from Waldo, opting to go away from the building complex, trying to get a little bit more space. K-Mine hits the shots onto this, does a nice follow-up. Really, everything is just coming up from Genesis. Cherry Poppins outside the blue, trying to take some shots back over towards bottom.
Wow.
K-Mine is just mopping up everything.
Genesis takes it out of nowhere. Oh, well, not out of nowhere, but for 15 kills. That game came to an end in a flurry for Genesis, and that has got to feel so good.
This is exactly what they needed. We were making a joke a second ago. You know, it's really easy to be happy and feeling in a good mood when your team's on top. Walking away from a 25-point game with K-Mine, 7 kills, these guys have got to be feeling a world better.
Well, it doesn't look like it looking at them, but it felt good for us to watch at the very least. And Genesis, that has got to be a weight off their shoulders. Couple of smiles going around, at least Logic smiling at this stage. But that is a massive victory. I think that's the highest kill count we've seen this phase.
I think back towards the start, we had a very high kill count game that came into it with 20 points, I believe.
Great job, good effort, Genesis. That's what they need, and that's going to be a ton of points. 25. That's going to propel them back up on the left side of the leaderboard.
Happy about it.
I know.
25
I kind of want to go over there and be like, hey, did you guys realize?